Nearing the midpoint of the 2025 season, it is a pivotal visit to Hampton, Virginia's Larry King Law's Langley Speedway for the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear in the Visit Hampton 125. So happy you could be joining us on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon here at Larry King Law's Langley Speedway. I'm Blake McCandless, that's Eric Brennan. You will see a couple of cars on track in the background right now as some street stocks that'll be broadcasted for you a little bit later on tonight go through their pacing laps and some of their qualifying sessions that are going on at the moment right now. But Eric, the focus is on this race for the Cars Tour at a very pivotal point in the season, and several drivers up in the fight for the championship pivoting for position.
We are just at the halfway point. In fact, after this race, you could say that we're officially halfway through the late model stock portion of our calendar for 2025.
Already.
And the championship battle is so tight coming into a racetrack that doesn't look more than a month old. This facility has been operating for 75 years, and it's hosting its 7th Cars Tour late model stock race here tonight. And Blake, half of the prior 6 races this track has held with the Tour for the late model stock cars have ended in a last lap pass. Here's how today's schedule is going to shake out. Late model stock car qualifying up next. Pre-race ceremonies at approximately 6:30. But in between there, we have a lot of special pieces to run and show you, including leading up to the Cars Tour West Series event that you can catch later on tonight at Kern Racing on Flow. Driver introduction 6:35, and we'll kick off our racing action with the Visit Hampton 125 for the late model stock cars with the Cars Tour, and then we will welcome Brian White and Adam Wellbrock, who will lead you through the Legends 25 lapper and the Super Streets for 40 laps here at Langley.
It's going to be a fun and action-packed night here of racing at Larry King Law's Langley Speedway, and what beautiful weather we have. Again, you can see a couple of cars at the front of the field that have had tarps on the greenhouse here for just the last couple of moments. And again, when I say a couple of drops came by just about roughly 5 or 10 minutes ago, that's all I mean. You can still see it's sunny. We've been dodging clouds a little bit throughout the last couple of hours or so, but it has been it has been a very uncharacteristically windy day, I would say, here as well at Langley Speedway. Wind gusts that are expected to be roughly 15 to 20 miles an hour, so we could see that be a factor, but otherwise a great night to take in some short track racing here tonight.
And the graphic references thunderstorms. There is some inclement weather directly to the north of the racetrack and some systems building out to the west. We'll keep our eyes on that and hope that it continues to break up as it closes up on the facility. The good news, however, is that we are the leadoff hitter tonight on the docket. The race is scheduled to start at 7 p.m. Eastern as we see several drivers who are up in the top 6 in championship points conversing before they tackle this unique 0.4 of a mile oval.
And again, the one thing that makes this racetrack so unique, it's not a D-shaped oval necessarily, but the fact that these drivers are pretty much leaning on that right rear the entire time that they are going around this racetrack. You can hear from these drivers that the front stretch here doesn't feel like a straightaway at all because they're barely going straight before they have to get down into the corner. And like you said, Eric, 75 years of racing here at Langley Speedway. It has been around for a very long time in such a great setting with the NASA Langley Research Center that is just across the street from here. It's a beautiful, beautiful racetrack.
Unbelievable facility. Again, 7th late model stock car race for the Cars Tour in the 75th year of this track's operation. We've never had a repeat pole winner. Connor Hall's the only active driver who's won a pole so far, who's entered into tonight's race, and he's the only repeat race winner. We'll touch on Connor more as qualifying starts to roll up here with the drivers slated and staged on the grid. Well, Blake, you mentioned the championship, and this may be the most opportune time for Connor Hall at a racetrack. As we said, he's the only active driver in the field tonight that's won a pole here before, and he's won the last 2 races, albeit in very different fashion at this facility. Last year was the closest finish in Cars Tour history. The year before was the 100th race that the Tour had run in its history, and Hall was able to take home top honors. This may be just what the doctor ordered for the driver who, for the first time this season, comes into a race second in championship points.
Yeah, I was about to say, again, Landon Lewis has been the beneficiary of this incredible streak of momentum that he's had over the last several races. And you think about it too, Eric, the point system and some of the alterations that were made over the offseason, mainly as a way to give some drivers that would not be starting races to give them some owners points. It allowed more points to be given out for winning races. So you get 44 for finishing first. You now have 2 points for winning a pole position, of which Landon Lewis was able to do that and win the race at North Wilkesboro. So there's been some more points on the line and more points available for drivers that go out and win these races. Landon Lewis has taken great advantage to that after the great start by Connor Hall. And again, hearing a little bit earlier the last few weeks about Connor Hall wanting to turn the momentum around. Again, I don't know if there's any track that you could dream up on the schedule for Connor Hall to perhaps turn that around. Again, he's the only former Cars Tour winner that is in the field here this evening.
And depending on how you view how the importance or I would say the pressure of qualifying, Connor's going to be the second car out in this qualifying session once we kick it off here a few moments from now.
He's had a lot of early draws this year, as well as that hot shoe Tristan McKee, who finished second in North Wilkesboro Speedway. He'll be the first car for Matt Piercy Racing to test his Gainbridge Chevrolet and set a time here in single car qualifying. Again, the street stocks taking their last couple of laps around Larry King Law's Langley Speedway. Next up will be ZMAX Cars Tour qualifying for the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. Welcome back here to Langley Speedway. Again, the last few laps of street stock qualifying has wrapped up here. And again, as Eric Brennan mentioned a little bit earlier, that will be after our coverage of the Visit Hampton 125 for the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. A couple of patrons in the pits and outside the pits swap it around before we get going here for single car qualifying. But Eric, the one thing I kind of wanted to touch on here while we have a little bit of time before we roll these cars off for qualifying is how these races have been won here. Again, we know that qualifying, especially in the Cars Tour, so important. All these drivers will tell you each and every week how important track position is and how important it is to get it. But when you look at the amount of races that have been won here, despite the fact that, like you said, 3 of them have come by virtue of a last lap pass. Even Connor Hall, each of the last couple of years, he's only led 45 laps in each of those 2 victories. We did have one driver that led flag to flag in 2021. That was Caden Honeycutt, who led all 125. But typically in these races, it has not been the going that drivers that are up front and dominating these races end up winning when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and the furthest a winner has come to win at Langley with the Cars Tour is 10th. It happened twice. Deke McCaskill did it in the inaugural event, and Connor Hall last year when he won by 7 thousandths of a second started 10th that night as well. So qualifying carries a lot of importance to this event, as you mentioned, Blake, even though the history books may tell us that you don't necessarily have to dominate the whole race like Caden Honeycutt did that one time. You can, in fact, make a move rather late, and that's been the frequent theme of these races the last few times that we have been here. Last year, of course, being the pinnacle of it all. And I think one other thing that we mention, every Cars Tour event that we have, Blake, the proximity of time between first, and I'll go as far back as, say, 20th, as we were talking about earlier today. This field is so tight, and this is a racetrack where giving up 100th of a second on either end of the racetrack could be the difference from a front row starting spot, gaining a point or two, to maybe starting on the outside of row number 10 if things don't go your way. Making up that much ground at 125 lapper, that's going to be tough.
Well, again, for any of these race fans that have been checking Race Monitor over the course of the last couple of days, looking at the times that these drivers have turned in practice, and again, that's with the fact that some teams and some drivers elect to take the opportunity to make their mock qualifying runs, and some drivers and teams tend to focus in different practice sessions on their race runs, but still looking at the times that they roll through here in practice, especially this final practice that we had here today. Just looking at that indicates how close this will be in terms of qualifying, as it looks like they're about to turn that stop sign around and give Tristan McKee in the Gamebridge Chevrolet for Matt Piercy Racing the go-ahead to get out on the racetrack to become our first car in single-car qualifying tonight. And although we've kind of gone back and forth, it depends on the track size for these drivers and what they talk about in the drivers' meeting in terms of whether they get a dead lap. They will not tonight. So Tristan McKee will come around and take the green flag from our flagman in Brandon Willard, as the Williamsburg, Virginia native looks to continue the momentum that he carried out of North Wilkesboro Speedway, a second-place run, and he earned that running up there all night long, as he will be the first car to slide his car around here in qualifying. First lap of record. So we're going to go ahead and get that second car off of pit road just as soon as they can. To a lap time here for Tristan McKee, as he will come across to the line.
Well, just as we were talking about in the lead into this session, this is the driver who may not have been more excited to come to this racetrack, a home track, a former track champion, and a winner here this season, as he completes his first time around the Bass Pro Shops Roto-Rooter Sundrop number 88 for Junior Motorsports out of Hampton, Virginia, right here. Tonight representing the U.S. Air Force in the Military Cup, an added incentive for Connor Hall as he comes across the line to complete his lap. And we'll check on the stopwatch here to verify the time. 16:006, the lap of record for Connor Hall. That was about a 1/10 of a second clear of what Tristan McKee laid down, as he was the first car on the racetrack.
And again, we'll see just how those cars clock in. It was Chase Burrow earlier today that ran a 16:19. Which was the fastest lap laid down earlier. So this track has picked up a ton of speed as the sun has continued to go down. You can see Jared Fryer right there, winner of Orange County this year, making his third start in 2025. Will clock in at a 16:143. He'll slide across the line out of turn number 4. And unfortunately, it looks like that is going to do his second lap in. So Jared Fryer, third fastest of the 3 we've sent out thus far.
65th career Cars Tour late model stock start, first since Orange County, and 5th here at Langley. He's finished in the top 10 all 4 times prior. A warm welcome back to the Aaron Sales and Lease number 16 for the McCumbee Elliott Racing entry for Chad McCumbee. First lap is 16:285. Don't think we will flirt with the track record. That's a 15:6 held by Carson Quapple back in 2022. McCumbee, though, is going to look to pick up more than 2/10 the second time around. He will pick it up, but not enough to improve. McCumbee, 16:164, remains 4th of the 4 cars that have taken time so far. We'll toss it down to James Pike.
Racing, and your first go here at Langley Speedway. What are your impressions of this place? It kind of reminds me a lot like Florence. So it's really low grip and it's really flat, and it's going to put on a really great race tonight. Saving the tires are going to be really crucial, and that kind of fits up, my bread and butter. So I feel like, if we can qualify good tonight and stay at the front, we'll be really good that last half of the race.
Donovan makes a good point. A lot of similarities between Florence and Langley's, and the skill set that he picked up running weekly at Florence last year should translate well here at Langley.
Thank you, Pike and Donovan. As again, they have been very quick to send some of these cars out, and just as we had kind of at the top of the show, again, it was mere moments we had where during some of the street stock qualifying a little bit earlier today that there were a couple of drops that were coming down, and that is why, at least for the moment, they have kept Riley Music's GT Pay machine out of Norfolk, Virginia, at the tail end of pit road without letting that car make its way out onto the racetrack for qualifying. So hoping that this is just a brief passing through, of which we've had about 3 or 4 times today.
And the odd thing, Blake, is
the sun is shining,
and it looks like it's just about pouring. Now we've got crew members running to make sure they can grab the car covers as the sky is opened up, but the sun continues to shine pretty much all the way around the 0.4 of a mile oval. And you can see it there. I mean, it is coming down right now.
Yeah, and again, it pretty much came out of nowhere. If we're looking over towards turn 3 and 4 right now, it's completely clear skies. There's been some clouds that have kind of passed through us here behind us, at least looking back from our vantage up here, the grandstands and the press box, looking back towards us. There's been some storms that have missed us, but again, I think caught a lot of these teams off guard with the fact that this pretty much developed out of nowhere. But again, being in Hampton, Virginia, we're right on the coast. This is not unlike something that they deal with on a weekly basis. But just as quickly as it was coming down, it looks like it's kind of letting up for the next few moments. So an interesting set of scenarios here at Hampton, Virginia. For more, let's toss it down to James Pike.
Yeah, this isn't the first time this afternoon that we've had some of these flash showers, much less spot showers. There were at least 2 by my count over the course of the morning and the early afternoon in practice, and they were similar to the one that we've seen here, where the rain's already letting up compared to when it started maybe 2 or 3 minutes ago. And you find that commonly, especially around the Tidewater region this time of year. The extra heat, moisture, humidity, the warmer temperatures. This is not an uncommon phenomenon. Thankfully, though, does not look like we've washed the track. I see Langley track crews trying to just keep cars running around the surface to make sure that the water doesn't really permeate the asphalt and put us in a place where we need to run tires or run dryers or anything of that nature. But the rain is letting up, so I would anticipate qualifying to resume relatively shortly.
Thanks, Pike. And, you mentioned 75 years of operation for this facility. Bill Mullis, who is really the head figure here at this racetrack, was at the drivers' meeting this morning, gave a tremendous speech to all competitors. And just to give an idea of the culture and the working narrative in which he's built around this facility, I mean, they started to roll tow trucks around the racetrack just in case they needed to keep some heat in the racetrack, as Pike was alluding to. Fortunately, though, the sun's not really being blocked right now by many of the clouds that still continue to cross about the sky. So I don't think a lot of work will be needed by this track crew, but evidently they came ready and prepared, as they do every week here. I mean, I was talking to Brian White and Adam Relbrock, who you'll hear them later on tonight. This is, to me, one of my go-to viewing options on FloRacing on a Saturday night. If we're not at a racetrack, I want to see what's happening here because of the product and the show that they put on. And the opportunity to come here on an annual cadence with this tour, it's something I appreciate so much, not only because of how beautiful this place is, how well it races, but especially for fans. You know you're going to come to a place where your time matters, and this is an evidence of that by what the track crew is doing now, even with this short shower.
Well, again, and a lot of collaboration between a lot of these tracks up here in the Virginia area. Of course, none more so than the Virginia Triple Crown that'll be running throughout the summer months at South Boston Speedway here coming up in a couple of weeks for the 200. The Hampton Heat will be right back here in July. Can't wait to be back here for that as well. And, of course, Martinsville Speedway a couple of months later for the Virginia Triple Crown. But even seeing that, yes, there are some vehicles even a part of the crew here at Langley Speedway that have some of the Autos by Nelson and South Boston Speedway decals on them. In fact, one of the track dryers out there that's in the middle of 1 and 2 out from South Boston Speedway. So a lot of good collaboration here, especially on a big weekend. And as far as I can tell, Eric, at least from our vantage point up here in the booth, whatever moisture or whatever rainfall that we had here for just a couple of moments, I don't see anything falling right now. So just a very quick pop-up shower that looks like, again, is only going to be a couple of minutes, I would say, before we're sending a couple more cars out for qualifying.
Well, we've had 4 hit the racetrack so far. The first one to do so was our Bilstein Shocks Rookie of the Race from North Wilkesboro. Tristan McKee is with Pike.
So Tristan McKee here chatting with his crew already is qualifying time currently. And Tristan, is that an advantage like this where you've got your time banked in and you don't have to worry about the rain? Do you think that benefits you or does that hurt you? Or what do you expect given that the shower was so short?
Yeah, I don't know. Sun's coming out now, so we'll really have to see what everyone else puts down. It's hard to really say. There was kind of a little bit of cloud shade when I was out there, and now there's sun, so we really don't know what the track's going to do. I thought I had a pretty good lap. We've been struggling a lot this weekend. It's one of our toughest weekends so far, but I think we got it figured out. Hopefully, as long as we're in the top 10, we should be able to race from there.
And plenty of room to race here and plenty of time to do it at Langley if you don't qualify well. Tristan McKee from Matt Piercy Racing, Inspire Motorsports, currently second on the board.
Coming off the career best effort in a late model stock car at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Spent Memorial Day weekend running a Trans Am TA2 car at Lime Rock Park, where he got a podium there as well. So a lot of momentum on Tristan McKee's side as you see the track drying efforts continuing on the back straightaway. Shouldn't be too much longer before we resume Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award qualifying from here at Langley. All right, we'll step aside, allow the track crew to wrap up their duties on this racetrack, and we'll come back. 4 cars of 23 have been on the racetrack. We'll sew up qualifying from Langley right after this.
Welcome back to Langley Speedway as Riley Music going to take to the racetrack quickly. They are trying to do everything they can to get qualifying in here. And whenever we come to Langley Speedway, Eric, one of the great things is talking about many of the local drivers who run here every single week being fixtures and being very competitive. Riley Music going to be no different. The 2022 Limited Late Model Champion here at Langley Speedway, currently running 5th in the championship standings, has been fast all weekend long, and his first lap is already amongst the top cars that we've sent out thus far. 16.120. Is the second lap going to be better for Riley Music? It appears that that is not going to be the case, as Riley Music will stand in 3rd. In fact, he will improve, and he almost takes the pole over Connor Hall, second fastest for Riley Music.
Next on the racetrack, drivers started off of the front row at North Wilkesboro, coming off her second consecutive top 10 effort in the ARCA Menard Series race at Charlotte last week. Appeared on the Dale Jr. Download last week and explained a lot of the processes to gain some confidence to run laps like this. Laney Bice in the Folsom Fence Supply lead podium performance 0-3 out of Jackson, Georgia. First time around 16.342. The trend has been to see so far just about every competitor pick it up on lap number 2, with the exception being Jared Fryer. Bice will continue the trend, not moving up in the running order. 6th that time through with a 16.199 for Laney Bice in the 0-3.
And again, these cars going about a 10th faster, 2/10 faster, some of them, than what we saw in practice a little bit earlier today. So this track definitely picking up some speed as we continue to roll along. Next, taking the white flag, comes by to complete his first lap in the number 91 Jerry's Auto Repair Chevrolet out of Williamsburg, Virginia. It's Justin Carroll. 16.360 for his first lap, kind of following in step with what we saw just out of Laney Bice. And like Bice, it looks like Carroll will improve on the second effort, but still 7th fastest, now into the 16.2s.
The second Lee Pulliam Performance car on the field, the Jones Toyota and Air Doug number 88 out of Forest Hill, Maryland, Doug Barnes. One of the Bilstein Shocks rookies in the field, making his first Cars Tour start at Langley, but he did run the Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown here back in 2018. In fact, Hamlin himself won that race. Barnes' first time was 8th at a 16.299, and Doug had a bit of a bobble getting into turn 1. We'll see if that will negate his chances of climbing further up the rungs of the scoring pylon. Checkered flag in the air for Doug Barnes Jr., and he will jump up to 3rd. Just misses the front row, but Doug Barnes Jr. to P3.
And after what was an incredible start to the 2025 season, a little bit of a rough patch, but looking to turn it around here after what was a 3rd place run in North Wilkesboro Speedway a couple of weeks ago. Another Virginia native for the Convenience Tire and Auto and BDL Motorsports machine. It's number 81 of Minnie Tyrell. A huge weekend coming up here in a couple of weeks with Minnie's Mission at Dominion Raceway. But looking to pick it up here. 6th fastest on lap number 1. Minnie Tyrell to the top of the charts on lap number 2. 15.976 is Minnie Tyrell looking for yet another Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole this season.
Blake, you were talking about some hometown heroes. Here's one out of Carlton, Virginia, driving for his family-owned team in the Waltz Engineered Sales, Davcon, and Full Caliber Construction 2W. Matt Waltz, 8th his first time by. This is his Cars Tour late model stock return after a great run here last year, finishing 4th. He's run 2 races here so far this season in weekly competition and has a couple of wins. He comes down to take the checkers, and Waltz goes to the top with a 15.876 to the approval of the local crowd.
It's about to say a 10th better than Matt Waltz, and we may just see another challenge for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole in this driver. Won at a North Wilkesboro Speedway winner at the last 2 Cars Tour races on an incredible hot streak on his way to now leading the championship point standings as the number 29 of Landon Lewis. And his first time will clock in 7th fastest, but we've seen pickups of nearly 2 or 3 tenths for many of these drivers that have gone out after the brief pause for the weather. Let's see if Landon Lewis can do the same. To the line, is it 3 straight new pole sitters? No. Landon Lewis started on the outside of the front row here a year ago. He's now 2nd with a 15.894.
Here's another driver well up in the championship standings, trying to gain 2 points if he can take provisional pole. This is the RNS Race Cars number 4 out of Fulshear, Texas, Cade Brown in the GU Eagle and Sterling Building Group entry. And his first time around for that of Brown is going to clock in 11th. It's his 2nd Cars Tour start at Langley after starting and finishing 19th here, but was on the lead lap when all was said and done. Now with Marcus Richmond's team, hoping for more. And he'll get more on lap 2. Brown up to 6th.
Next up is a driver. What a special weekend it has been for Brandon Pierce out of Oak Ridge, North Carolina, making his 100th start in the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. Only the 2nd driver in series history to accomplish that feat. Got a standing ovation and even a nice little trophy in the drivers' meeting earlier today to accommodate this event for him. As he goes 11th fastest, was very confident in the race pace that he'll have later on tonight. Pierce from 11th on lap number 1. He goes up at least 1 row to 9th on lap number 2 with a 16.118.
Another one of our rookies in the field. This one, the FloRacing Fieldmaster Award winner at North Wilkesboro, gained 17 spots in that race, but that was just from start to finish position. The Fieldmaster Award encompasses cars passed all night long, and Parker Eatman in the Hettinger Racing number 71 for Southern Bank and Vet Adventures took home those honors our last time out. His first time through was a 16.407. It was his first Cars Tour late model stock start at Langley. Comes into the night 15th in points, looking for his second top 10 on the season as Eatman now comes to the checkers and will pick up one spot. 13th for Parker Eatman.
It's already hard to believe. Just about 8 more cars left to send out here in single car qualifying at Langley Speedway. As we turn our attention to the number 22, autos by Nelson Toyota of Carson Lofton. An incredible effort at North Wilkesboro Speedway, looking to turn the tide here in 2025 for Carson Lofton. His first lap, though, is 15th of the 15 cars that we've sent out thus far, 16.262. For a driver that, again, we go to these high-grip racetracks, he has been superb, looking to improve on these more abrasive racetracks, and he is going to improve a couple of spots, a handful, I should say, up to 11th, 16.159, the new lap of record for Carson Lofton.
Next on the racetrack, making his 50th career Cars Tour late model stock start, and 4th at Langley, the ABC Hosiery and Apparel TG Motorsports Torp Chassis number 1 out of Youngsville, North Carolina, Andrew Grady, who was very fast in the Friday practice session yesterday and just laid down a pretty sporty first lap. That's a 16.1 on Grady's first time around. His best start was 14th here last year. He's going to try to better that, and he will do just that. Top 5 for Andrew Grady, his second time around.
A couple of really strong cars coming on here late, including the driver that was the fastest earlier today in final practice, has been competing full-time on the Cars Tour this season, as well as right here in weekly competition at Langley Speedway in the Medic Corp AAH Race Cars Toyota out of Kings Williams, Virginia. It is Chase Burrow, whose first lap is great, 9th fastest at a 16.107. And again, Eric, we talked about the margin of error. Just a couple of hundredths would put him up towards the front, or can he nab the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole? Chase Burrow just shy of the front row, but a great effort that will put that 00 in third at a 15.973.
3-time Cars Tour winner in a late model stock side, 2 of which came at the end of 2024. Jones Utilities Construction, Family Tire and Auto supporting the Mike Darn Racing 44 out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Connor Jones on the clock. This will be his 4th Cars Tour late model stock start at Langley. First lap, 18th of the 18 cars. But as we said, just about everyone has picked up speed on their second time around. Checkered flag is going to fly for Jones, and he does not see the significant improvement on lap 2. He will remain 18th for now.
Right now, standing by with the driver that's 4th fastest, James Pike is down with Minnie Tyrell.
And Minnie Tyrell is a driver who traditionally likes high grip, high bank racetracks, and this is not that at Larry King Law's Langley Speedway. So given the different style, will you take that kind of speed in qualifying?
Yeah, I mean, they were pretty good. We unloaded yesterday, and I felt good about the car all weekend. So, the Jesus is Lord BDL Motorsports Convenience Tire and Auto machine is hooked up today. So, looks like we'll have a little bit of work to do in the race, but it is what it is. I think we'll have a good spot, and it's going to have to save these tires, and it's all on the right foot there. So we'll see what happens.
We'll take the track position, look for a good start to the Virginia swing, will Minnie Tyrell.
And after driving the doors off of it at North Wilkesboro Speedway, Landon Huffman in the IBCI Chevrolet for the Carroll Speed Shop will put his car in 10th on his second lap around at a 16.048.
Next driver out with a pretty good first lap, a 16.1 in the family-owned 04. Tonight, representing the United States Marines in the Military Cup, Ronnie Bassett Jr. The best for tire and auto and affordable heating and air, and Buddy Scoops entry. We'll see if he has a pretty significant pickup on the second lap, and he will, but will just missed out on the top 10. Ronnie Bassett Jr., top 6 in championship points, currently sitting 11th with a couple of cars still to go.
Just 3 cars left to go, including the flying number 11 Timber Waters Chevrolet for Van Dyke Racing Performance out of Littleton, North Carolina, Buddy Isles Jr. taken to the white flag this time for Buddy Isles Jr. And his first lap that is clocked in here. He's going to have to find some more pace here on lap number 2 to try to get up amongst the competitors. 21st fastest of all the cars that we've sent out thus far to 16.495. But looking for a big pickup here on lap number 2. He's able to get it, and in fact will grab about 3 or 4 positions in doing so. 18th now for Buddy Isles Jr., 16.211.
Heard from this driver earlier as he had a big moment there in turn number 1. This is our driver's 7th in championship points. Rookie on the tour, Donovan Strauss in the 2nd Energy Racing car. This being May 31st, it is the final day of Stroke Awareness Month. He's trying to do good for his partner Savaro, along with Liberty in a Can, Ledford Billiard Supply, and Team Dillon Management. He's coming off what was a great comeback effort at North Wilkesboro Speedway. A very talented and personable rookie on the tour. We'll see what he can do on his 2nd lap after the big moment on lap 1. Second time around for Donovan Strauss, not what the team was looking for. That slip in the first corner on the first lap is going to keep him 22nd with the final car on track.
Already down to just one more competitor left to challenge Matt Waltz, what would be his first career Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole in just his 6th Z-Max Cars Tour start. Taking the white flag this time in the number 28, looking to play spoiler here out of Huntingtown, Maryland, in the Trade Point Terminals machine. It is Dustin Storm, whose first lap will slot him in 23rd, 16.546 for Dustin Storm to the VP Racing Fuels checkered flag, and it's about 0.2 of a pickup. He will pick up one spot up to 22nd, but it is not enough to unseat the number 2W of Matt Waltz, a first career Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole.
Matt Waltz, who decided to put his racing career on hold back in 2018, committed to just running part-time since then. After making select NASCAR Xfinity Series starts back in the day, now is celebrating a Z-Max Cars Tour Pole Award, and he is standing by with James Pike to tell us about it.
The local legend has beaten out all the stars of the Z-Max Cars Tour to today's Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award. Matt Waltz, where did that speed come from? Was it experience, or was this thing just hooked up on that Q run?
Yeah, we've had the speed. Last time out here racing the weekly races, swept the night here. So car's been good. Changing engines, coming here racing with the Cars Tour has been a little bit different. So that threw us a little bit of a curveball yesterday, but just kept working on the car and just working on drivability of the car, and I knew if it drove good, it was probably going to qualify good too. So feel like we have a really good driving race car, and happy to be on the pole.
Remember that once upon a time, before he was a driver in the ARCA Menard Series, before he was a Cars Tour champion, Butterbean Queen, as a local driver here at Langley Speedway, beat the Cars Tour drivers in 2022. Matt Waltz looking to pull from the exact same playbook and starting off well with the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award.
And I think James Pike brings up a great point there, Eric. When it comes to this racetrack, again, we have a lot of facilities that we go to where it's great to see these drivers that run here on a weekly basis. But out of every stop that we come to on the Cars Tour over the last couple of years, I don't think there's one track where those who have experience here and run here on a weekly basis perform better than when we come to Larry King Law's Langley Speedway. Just look at the last 3 winners that we've had in the Z-Max Cars Tour. Of course, James Pike brought up Brendan Queen winning many years ago. Connor Hall has won each of the last 2 races that we've had here in the Cars Tour. So there's just something about these drivers that are around here all the time, and they have all that experience. They can get around here very, very quickly.
And I know we all flash back to the amazing 3-wide photo finish we had here last season with Connor Hall, with Carson Quappo, with Brent Cruz, who at the time was driving the KHI number 29 car. The one who had his nose right in there, maybe thinking about an avenue to get by. Matt Waltz finished 4th in that race, trying to do just a little bit better tonight. We'll see what he's got when we come up to race time. We're going to step aside. We've got some very interesting content pieces for you, highlighting everything going on with the Cars Tour and tonight's Harvick Showdown out at Kern Raceway. That'll be following our program on the FloRacing platform. You're watching the Visit Hampton 125 of the Z-Max Cars Tour, presented by Sound Gear on Flo.